Hey, high school sports the high school football season is finally here. And Tom, this is something we take pride in. We cover everybody. We don't just get the large schools or the Catholic schools. We get everybody. And right now, we're going down to Class D. We're going to talk about a gigantic Class D division right now.
It's the biggest since I've been in Western New York. I've seen this division, right? From top to bottom when you're talking about how many teams are there. This is great. This is going to be a real competitive division. We'll talk about 4 teams that are going to make the playoffs right here this year. So let's take a look at this division.
Remember with this division, at times, there's only 4 teams.
Only 4
Everybody
teams.
would make the
Everyone
playoffs.
went in, right? Now you're going to have a battle, right? And it will be a battle because these teams will be trying to pivot and be able to get that home field advantage, which could be crucial whether a team goes onto the stadium or not.
All right, so let's jump right into it. We're going to go in alphabetical order. Start with the Cataractis Little Valley Timberwolves. They are coached by Tim Miller, 27 years as head coach, 36 total years with the program. Last year, this team went 1-7. They returned 5 starters on offense, 4 on defense. Key returning players: Dominic Martinez, Zach Pelanik, Raiden Turnu, Maliki Green, Donnie Seaman. And new players to watch out for: DJ Zaltza, Peyton Bradley, Camden Young, and Braden Young. Tom, what can we expect from the Timberwolves?
This is a tough division. I'm not going to lie. This is going to be tough. And it's kind of what we've talked about when we've seen the teams that have had, the records where they're trying to build off. They're trying to get more wins is what they're trying to do. The good news is most of their games are all going to be in conference this year. You're not having to go outside of conference and play C's or play Monsignor Martin teams and do things like this. So you're going to need to try to go after some wins that are teams that are like you inside this conference. It's capable, but right now I think what their goal is, let's improve on that record and grow. You got 9 starters coming back. You got a nice core. Let's grow and be able to get a couple more wins this season.
Yeah, their one victory last year came against Spitzer Chimon. So a good goal this season. Hey, let's beat a team in our own conference. Yep. So our next team, why don't you, team that people know very well, why don't you introduce that to them?
Yep. Clymer, Sherman, Panama, Wolfpack. Ty Harper, your head coach. 9 years as the head coach. And, just unbelievable what they've done as a total program down there. 11 starters returning. Gabe Roth is returning. He was also, as you remember, a Colpoys Barrows Cup baseball finalist for us. Micah Wilnick, Justin Massink, and Trey Von. I'm sorry, those were the ones that were 2021 captains. Your key players returning. Roth, though, is one of those that are still returning. He is back. I would assume we're going to probably see him as a captain. He was a captain last year. Bryce Hindo, we all know the freshman that was huge last year, comes up big. We'll see him take on even a bigger role this year for CSP. Trent Burchanowski, Lucas Liskinardo, Gabe Roth, Austin White, John Watson, and Tate Newman will be your returners. Key new players. I like this core that we're seeing right here. So Tate Catanese is number 1. Here's a name we're all going to recognize, Alex Barmore,
no
right?
One tell Frank. No one tell Frank.
Barmore, and the name is back, and this kid's going to have an impact, trust me, right? Bryce Posker, Carter Brink, Alex Redlicki, Travis Owens, Jaden Malecki, Caden Beckerink, Brody Bimber, Grant Lichtis, Devin Johnson, and Gavin Livermore are your people coming back. So look at this. You got 11 returners coming back from this team, and then look at that new names that have already been keyed and recognized by Coach Harper right there. Unbelievable. I'm telling you, this team's ready to make another run. No doubt CSP is retooled, ready to go. This team's for real. They're going to be good again this year.
Yeah, and I think, it all starts on defense. As we're going to talk about later, there's a very good running back in this division, and if they can figure out a way to stop them, they have a good chance of, doing very well this year. Before we take a break, I wanted to hit one more team, another team that's had a lot of recent success, the Franklinville Ellicottville Titans. They are coached by Jason Marsh, 3 years as head coach. He's been with the program for 6 years. Last year, this team went 7-3. They made it to the stadium last year, right? My memory serves me right. Yep. They faced Randolph in the final. I'm 90% sure.
I'm blanking on that one, though. But, yes, they were there. They were there.
Their JV went 7-0 last year, and the year before went 4-0, so that's always good. They returned 6 starters on offense, 8 on defense. And then key returning players, again, Nunzio Bayou Bilelik, Ben Broll, Hunter Smith, Tyler Gibbous, Christian Swayze, Brad John. Key new players to watch out for: Isaac Town, Billy Selinsky, Owen Chuddy, Gannon Callahan, Hayden Callaghan, and Levi Jennings. Those are your Franklinville, Ellicottville Titans. What can we expect from them this year, Tom?
I'm expecting what we see every year from Franklinville, Ellicottville, right? Do you expect them not to be in the mix? They're there every year, right? Great coach. Great that these two schools have come together. There's no doubt about it. I expect them to be right in the mix and one of those 4 teams that we'll be looking at for the playoff run.
I do. They are going to have to figure out what to do without Lucas Marsh. He was a fantastic dual-threat quarterback, one of the best down there. So that will certainly be some big shoes to fill.
Oh, no doubt. And absolutely. And again, remember before Lucas was there, right? We were saying the same exact thing. I am sure they're ready to retool. This is a very good program down there, like what they've got, like the core that's coming up. And again, remember, even though we're talking about Lucas Marsh missing, there's still 14 returning spots that are returning. I think these guys are going to be okay.
All right, on that note, we're going to take a short break. When we come back, we're going to talk about Frusburg. You're watching the 2022 Class D football preview on WNY Athletics.
Our homes have become offices, gyms, schools, and playgrounds. And at Western New York Immediate Care, we know you may need us now more than ever. Whether you've suffered a minor injury or just aren't feeling well, Western New York Immediate Care physicians are trained to diagnose and treat most non-life-threatening injuries and illnesses. With 5 convenient locations open 7 days a week, help is never far away. Life has changed, but Western New York Immediate Care is still here for you.
I love being home.
There's nothing better than owning the perfect house to come home to. You've earned it, and we'll make it happen. Our local real estate experts and in-house team of financial professionals make buying or selling your home simple. Howard Hanna. Home happens here.
I love being home.
Welcome back. This is the 2022 Class D football preview. I'm Francis Beck, joined by Tom Prince here, and we're going to talk next about the Frusburg Bears. They're coached by Terry Gray. He's been the head coach of the program for 21 years. Last year, this team went 7-1. That was an 8-man, so they are back in 11-man football. I almost forgot about that. So they were an 8-man for the past couple of years. Now they're back in 11-man, which I think is a good thing. I know everybody has their opinion on that, but it's nice to see them back. They returned 3 starters on each side of the ball from last year. Key players returning: Vinny Sanafilippo, Draven DeJesus, Pat Spencer, and a key new player, Chase Hagelin, who's already been named a captain this year. Tom, what can we expect from the Frusburg Bears adding 3 men on the field?
First of all, we know Frusburg as a town right down there. These guys have produced football players, baseball players at every level, right? In fact, we just talked about they've got a pitcher right now that literally just went into the major leagues, right? That came from Frusburg. He's on the Mets right now. So if you don't think that this team's going to be ready, then you're underestimating a good team, right? Numbers, though, is what you're worried about a little here, because you're going to see here 3 offensive starters, 3 defensive starters. You wonder if they're the same 3 that we're really talking about here, right, that are playing both sides of the ball. So it's a lot of people to fill in right here. That'll be the big question. Is I believe they're going to end up having the athletes. I believe that they're going to be in the mix for some wins. Now the question will be, do they have enough to make the impact against CSP, against Franklinville, Ellicottville, against some of those bigger teams? And that's going to be what we're going to need to wait to see out on the field.
You talk about the line all the time, and I haven't seen too much 8-man football for what I know about it. You see a lot of high scorers because they play on the same field, so there's a lot of open areas, but there's only 3 down linemen. Same field now, you add 2 more linemen in. Yeah, now you really need to block to make those holes. You can't just rely on getting the fast guy on the outside in open space. You need to be able to run up the middle. You need to have the big guys be able to push forward.
Yeah, no doubt. And there are big guys that you're going to see coming at you from some of the schools that, we're talking here, especially from Franklinville, Ellicottville, especially from CSP. If you don't think Portville's got some big guys, you're crazy. And if you don't think Randolph's got them, you're nuts, right? We already know there's some big lines out there. The question is, will you have enough to be able to compete? And that's what we don't know. I know they have athletes. There's no doubt. They've got some athletes down there. They wouldn't have been 7-1 in 8-man and not have athletes, right? It just shows what you said. They got some speed, got some things. Let's see the trench warfare. As you know, I'm going to always go to the trenches right early, and you can see exactly how this year should play out.
All right, Tom, introduce us to our next team in Class D.
So the next team would be Gowanda Pine Valley. They're actually going to drop from C to D this year. If you remember, they were a C team last year. Brent Ebling, your first-year head coach. He's been with the program 8 years. 12 starters returning, 6 on the offensive side of the ball, 6 on the defensive side of the ball. Your key returning players are Ben Kroweski, Harley Conklin, Quentin Sittener, and Aiden Ackley are your returners right there for Gowanda Pine Valley. A lot of graduation kids happen here too, right? This is going to be a team that we're waiting to see a little bit. They were 3-6 in the division last year. I think this may be another year where they're trying to keep building the program back up again. I think it's great that they did drop down to D. Let's see what happens as far as the team looks right here. Remember, they had a couple problems last year being able to field the team with enough players. There were some injuries. They got their injury bug down there, unfortunately, at Gowanda. So, again, trying to build it back up, the program, and be able to get some key wins and see if they can try to battle for one of those 4 spots inside of the playoffs.
And hopefully try to bring back their JV program. They did not have one last year, and I think that's so key to have that development. We talk about going down to Little League and being in touch with that, but it's also important. You got to have your modified and hopefully JV in order to really build that up as well and bring up your numbers.
And I think the numbers were down, and they had to take those JV players up to be able to make sure they filled the team. So give them credit for coming out there and fielding a team and doing any way they could in order to do that.
All right, before we take a break, when we talk about the Portville Panthers, they are led by Coach Josh Brooks. He's been there 5 years as the head coach. This team went 5-5 last year. They returned 8 starters on offense, 7 on defense. Key returning players, Xander Keim, Caden Holcomb, and Luke Pedroutzak. Tom, what can we expect from Portville?
Before we get there, Colt Matz, I need to throw out something to you there, buddy. I hope you're doing well. Love this kid. Everyone in Portville knows who I'm talking about down there. Colt's my buddy, and I'm going to tell you, this kid really is somebody I look up to as far as a kid. I mean, what that kid has battled and beat is just unbelievable. What you've done as a community down there is unbelievable, the way that you support him. I absolutely love this kid. I love the Portville community. You know that. And I had to throw out my Colt there. Hello. But listen, Portville is always a team that's going to be in the mix, right? 5-5 last year. I get it. 15 returners back that's out here. These guys that smash mouth football down there at Portville. I'll never forget a couple years ago we went down there for that
it was
for
a
that
Mother's
playoff
Day
game. Oh man, I walked out on that field and I'm telling you, we went from rain to snow to sleet. I mean, we did everything, and we walked. You were with me down there, right? We walked that field, and I know you're not going to see it, but we were walking the field, and I'm smushing in mud as we're walking down like this. And we come up to the press box, and I go, how are they going to play this game? Like, I don't know how they even did it, right? But it was true smash mouth football, and I'm telling you, I wouldn't expect anything less right here. I expect that Portville is going to be one of your 4 teams that are going to be sitting in one of those playoff spots.
All right, our next team probably will be one of those 4 teams. We'll tell you more about last year's champions, the Randolph Cardinals, coming up after this break. You're watching the Class D football preview on WNY Athletics.
Avoiding care can lead to worse problems. Don't delay care. We're here for you. Western New York Immediate Care provides quick, quality care for non-emergent injuries and illnesses. Go to WNYimmediatecare.com for more information.
Logistics Plus is a global transportation provider headquartered in Erie, PA with locations worldwide, including right here in Western New York. Logistics Plus is consistently recognized as a fast-growing transportation and logistics company, great supply chain partner, top freight broker, leading project cargo manager, and a great place to work. With a strong passion for excellence, our 500-plus employees put the plus in logistics. Call our Buffalo office today for an efficient, personal approach for all of your transportation needs.
Welcome back for our final segment of the 2022 Class D football playoff preview. I'm Francis Beck, joined by Tom Prince, and we're going to talk about the defending champion Randolph Cardinals. They're coached by Brent Brown. He's been the head coach for 10 years, 33 years with the program. Last year went 11-1. They won the sectional title. They fell in the regional final down in Jamestown. Get this, they returned 9 starters on both sides of the ball, including a fella named Xander Hine, who was one of 2 finalists returning last year for the Connolly Cup. Also returning Jaden Huntington, Ryan Carpenter, Carson Conley, Maverick Adams, Peyton Slade. They're going to be good.
Yeah. Listen, there's no doubt they've got to be the early odds-on favorite, right? Early on. But what you want to make sure is you don't want to be a one-dimensional team, because you've got some really good teams in here that will figure out how to solely stop a run, right? So the question will be is, will they show a couple dimensions that are out here? This team's for real, folks. This team can move up and play against any of the divisions out there along with CSP, and have proven it year after year. I'm telling you, love this kid. Xander Hind, no doubt, should be a favorite right here for that Conley Cup. And I'll tell you, he's going to put up some major yards, folks. Major yards. Watch out. This kid is real. We knew last year he was real.
He led the area in rushing.
We knew last year he was real, and I'm telling you, he's going to do it again. And what's going to make it even more convincing this year is this division is so deep, right, of some really good teams. This is not going to be where you're going and it's a cakewalk from week to week. There's some very good teams in this division, and I can't wait to see how he's going to play this one out.
Tom, introduce us to our last team.
Also
we're going to have to
team.
travel way up for this one.
Yeah, so this is another C team that is now dropped. The Wilson Lakeman. William Atlas is your head coach for Wilson. 16 years with the program right there. 6-1 last year in C Conference.
7-3.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was looking at the JV. I apologize. 7-3 last year in the C Conference. Your captain this year is Ben Worketter. And then key returning players, Drew Daybill, Carter Pitlick, John Ernst, and Ben will be your key returning players. Key new players, Connor Ernst, Jack Mahar will be your 2 players that will be to watch out for. So this will be an interesting team. First of all, Wilson's one of those programs we talk about every year is going to be ready, right? Big losses to graduation right here. You got 2 returners that are coming from both sides of the ball, right? It's only 4 returning players. So they've got right now to fill a bunch of those holes right now that we've got to see them be able to fill and be able to make sure that this team's ready to go, because you've got some powerhouses down here, right? We've already talked about 4 of them already. But Wilson is a team that you expect will be ready, will make sure they have a team that's going to go out there and make something happen. The question is, it's a lot that's coming up from the JV. Here's the good news. Your JV was 6-1 last year. That's where I was.
That was in Class C.
Right, exactly. So what you're saying is you got this core that's coming up that's obviously been successful. Now you're going to have to take that core up to the JV level, up to the varsity level.
I was talking to Coach Atlas a few weeks ago about moving to Class D, and he said, some of his assistants were like, should, because of the travel, should we, ask to try to stay up in Class C? And he's like, no, I think we'll be fine. And, he's not worried about the travel. I talked to him, he was like, we got 3 road games. We only have 2. When he broke down the schedule, there were only 2 Friday nights that he had to travel down. The rest were either Saturdays. He's got a couple Saturdays, or their home games. And because they had one of their road games is Newfane, which his 10 minutes that their rivalry. So he's not too worried about the travel. They've done it before. They've done it for playoff games. He did say, though, they want to make sure they win early so they can try to get a home playoff game because he thinks that's when it could really matter. The travel when you get to the playoffs could really make a big difference.
And that's what I talked about when we started this, if you remember, right? This is going to be the key is you can't slip up against these teams because you want those home playoff wins. And especially as we get into some sloppy weather, right? Listen, Portville knows its field down there, right? And they know how it's going to play versus playing on a turf field, right? There is absolutely some advantage to knowing your field and where you're going to play on and being able to know that I don't have to travel an hour and a half to 2 hours to be able to play my game.
So, Tom, let's take a look. This is a jam-packed Class D this year. What's kind of our outlook for this?
I think we've talked about it, right? I think Randolph. I like CSP. I like Portville. I like Franklinville, Ellicottville as my 4 teams. The other ones that I want to see that we're waiting to see kind of step up. Does Frusburg have that line to be able to compete? Does this younger crop of players be able to be enough to take out one of these teams? That's going to be the key right there to success. And as we talked about, listen, there's going to be a team that's going to have to overcome travel, right? It's one thing like we talk about St. Francis is going to travel out of state, right, to be able to play games. But you're doing that and staying in a hotel and in a lot of cases.
Yeah, and it's a non-league game.
Right,
so
versus you getting on a bus at 2, 3 o'clock to get down there, get off that bus after being on there for 2 hours, probably taking a nap, listening to the music, right, doing the whole thing, and then getting out and getting yourself riled up again after you've been pumped all day at school wanting to play your game. So it's going to be very interesting to see which teams are going to adapt to some of this travel and be able to make the necessary adjustments to get into the playoffs.
I have to agree. I think it's Randolph's division, but we've seen a lot of big rivalry games between Randolph and Franklinville, Ellicottville. Times when one team wins in the regular season and then all of a sudden they meet in the playoffs and you get a different result. So that's certainly going to have to be a factor as you go into the postseason.
And I'm not going to count CSP out. I
No.
mean, you're a great coach team, and the names that we're talking about are even the new names in some of the existing. They've been there and done it, right? Even if it's been an older brother that's experienced it, right? They know the system. They understand what needs to get done. They understand how to win. And it really is key. That CSP is going to be a great team, and that Randolph CSP game, boy, you better be cheering for that one. Get down there. I'm telling you, all Western New York better be down there for that one because that's going to be a great game. And come on, Franklinville, Ellicottville, CSP, that's like a rivalry game.
Yeah.
How do you not want to see that game that's out there? And I'm going to tell you, Portville's going to some of these. I'm telling you, this division's awesome this year. I can't wait to see some of these games.
Yeah, and again, this is 8 teams when we've seen 4 at times in this year. So no everybody gets to the playoffs. Or actually, it was everybody gets to the semifinals. So, yeah, this is going to be a dogfight throughout, and I'm excited.
And if I'm correct, we're doing a Thursday. I'm going now for a Thursday night game.
I think
it's Portville, Frusburg, right?
Yes.
I'm coming down there to see this one, so I'm coming down to join these guys. I can't wait to see these games. Trust me, I don't care what division you've seen it, top to bottom. We've gone through every single team. This is going to be an incredible year of football, and I can't wait to see how it plays out.
Yes, I am. And we have plenty more preseason coverage on our social media pages. We're doing previews of all of the divisions, Monsignor Mar and all Section 6 divisions. We've come out with my Connolly Cup contenders. I guess they're Beck's Connolly Cup contenders. That's already been out.
Don't yell at me. Don't yell at me.
Send complaints to Frank Wolf. So we have that out. We've also been to a bunch of these games as well. So we've talked to a bunch of these coaches and a bunch of these players. So watch for that in our Facebook and YouTube pages. Watch out for that. And then, of course, we have plenty of games coming up week 1 and throughout the season. So we are the place to be this season for high school football. So for Tom Prince, I'm Francis Beck. Thank you for tuning in. This was the 2022 Class D football preview on WNY Athletics.
We realize now more than ever is the perfect time to have the perfect house. We're confident we'll find your dream home. Howard Hanna. Home happens here.
Sometimes it just isn't your day. We all need a little help from time to time. That's why we're committed to providing safe, quick, and cost-effective care. And we keep it simple. Just walk in. We're here for you. Learn more today.